Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Dr. Arnold Nerenberg. I'm a clinical psychologist, licensed to practice in the state of California since 1974. Been in the field for over 50 years. And I've walked upon this earth a little over 81 years now. The reason I'm telling you about all these years is to just help give a appreciation for the insights and inspirations and lessons of a lifetime to present this to you. A lot of thoughts going into everything I'm going to give to you with the intention of uplifting you and your loved ones for the rest of your lives. That sounds like a tall order, but that's really what I want to do, uplift you and your loved ones for the rest of your lives. I should say, I had my master's degree at Columbia University. I had my Ph.D. at the University of Texas. Excellent psychology programs. Everything I've put together is based on psychology, religion, and personal experience. I've combined them into a very unique system. I should also say what my father told me many years ago before he passed away. He said, "Son, I have a lot of good advice to give you, not because I've been so smart, it's just I've been so stupid." So I would say a lot of my own stupidity and mistakes I've made is an important part of my credential to be able to present all the materials that I'm giving to you. I've given over 820 lectures. We have over 95 books, 85 have been uploaded on the website, arnoldtherapy.com. So I made plenty of mistakes. I was able to do that. And I've learned how to read the book of my own heart. So it's not like I have to, when I give these lectures, people wonder how I can give such a diversity of presentation. I read the book of my own heart. And I spend maybe 5 or 10 minutes just putting together a few notes and present to you. So people say, "How can you put this together in 5 minutes?" I say, "What do you mean 5 minutes? It's 81 years of preparation." That's what's happening. The title of today's presentation is Loneliness, Causes, Ramifications, and Remedies. Loneliness, causes, ramifications, and remedies. I see the most beautiful, wonderful people in my practice as a clinical psychologist. Loveliest people. I'm so honored and privileged to meet these wonderful individuals, really, men and women of all ages. Average age is about 40. 75% are lonely. When I say, "Are you lonely?" a little bit, medium, or a lot, 75% will say either medium or a lot. It's a lot of lonely people. And these are great human beings. Most of them have families, children, mother, father, all the rest. And most have been with great employment. Right now they might be taking a little break from that because they're going through a disability issue. But really what you would call functional people, making contributions to the world. 75% report being lonely. Now, in the studies that have been done, there's a Harvard study, and the studies vary depending on the sample size or whatever, but still pretty high. Now, in a Harvard study, they found that 51% of mothers of young people, 51% report being lonely. And 61% of young adults, 18 to 25, report being lonely. Seriously lonely. The word is seriously lonely. Seriously lonely. And overall, they said 36% of all Americans are lonely. And the idea being that the pandemic is even, we'll get to see one day where the pandemic's even heightened that. Now, in another study, the 60% of Americans were found to be lonely. 60% they feel left out, poorly understood, lacking companionship. And the workplace, they found also contributes to that loneliness. There's a Cigna study, and they're using the UCLA loneliness scale. Found that 63% of men are lonely. 63% of men in this country are lonely. Yeah, that's looking at 10,000 people, a massive study, 10,000 people. And 58% of women are lonely. It's very serious. We have, and it wasn't just the pandemic, before the pandemic, because I did a study of 1,800 people about 20 years ago at the Nerenberg Institute. And we found that people believe, in fact, I'll give you the number, the 1,801 subjects in a study. Now, what percentage believe that deep conversation reduces loneliness? So they feel we're exploring the variable of deep conversations versus superficial or shallow. So 70% felt if they could have deeper conversations, it would reduce their loneliness. Now, many people, even around other people, feel lonely. They don't feel connected. They're not really relating to what's happening. Now, I'm not defining a deep conversation. I'm not defining it by content. You can have a deep conversation about cameras, money. You can have it about any subject, baseball. There's different levels of depth, superficial or deep. A lot of it, though, often has to do with what's in your heart, the human experience. Many people feel lonely because they feel nobody really knows them. And why do they feel nobody really knows them? Why do people, mostly you feel unknown? People don't know your struggles. If you don't know a man's struggle or a woman's struggle, you can't know that person. You can't even appreciate their achievements, what they struggled with, what their background was. I see so many people that I look at as totally successful. They may not be the richest people in the world, but they've achieved a level of honor and authenticity. So 70% of the people feel if they had deeper conversation, it would reduce their loneliness. Now, over 50% would like to have, or actually, it's actually 71% would like to have half the time to have deep conversation. No, very few people want to have a deep conversation all the time. But 71% would like to have it half the time. And right now in the United States, probably deep conversations happen maybe 5% of the time. I remember a psychiatrist friend of mine, a wonderful man, passed away some years ago, wonderful man. I said to him, how often would you like to have deep conversation? He says, I would like to have it 95% of the time. And I said to him, how often do you have deep conversation? He says, maybe 2%. I said, wow, what's the result of that? He says, I'm very lonely. Yeah, my poor friend, psychiatrist, beautiful human being, lovely poet, writer, lovely man, deeply spiritual, very lonely. He wanted to have 95% deep conversation, 2% was shallow. And he knew a lot of physicians, and he said, yeah, well, I'm with my physician friends. We're going to, there's no depth, it's on the surface, and I'm lonely with them. So there you have it. This is all contributing. So what we're looking at, and one of the ramifications of this loneliness is anxiety and depression. Anxiety and depression, in a more extreme form, even suicidal ideation or suicide. And loneliness is a very key variable in the breakdown of mental health. Loneliness is key. So we're looking at really the need for genuine, authentic community where people are really talking at greater depth with sincerity. We're going to talk some more of the parameters that it would take. Most people don't have that community, whether it's their religious community, their political community, their school community, whatever, their professional community. They don't have it. Even within the families, people aren't very often not really talking to each other, not talking about things that really matter. What's our life about? What's the purpose in life? What are your thoughts about death? People aren't going there. Mostly not because they don't want to. We found that so people desire, 71% want to have deep conversation. Most people don't know how to. They don't know how to initiate it. As a matter of fact, let me tell you something that might not surprise you. But we found that 64% get actually agitated and bored, become agitated and bored after 5 to 10 minutes of superficial conversation. 5 or 10 minutes, they want to just run. But they can't. They're just stuck in there and they stick out the whole thing. Now, it's my theory that one of the reasons that digital communication, when people are on their cell phones all the time, is because they don't want to get together with other people and put up with that superficial conversation. They'd rather just say what they have to say, boom, 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 and then go on to somebody else. I think it's because they're not having, and my theory is the explosion of social media is because people weren't having it in their face-to-face conversations. If they were having really meaningful, satisfying face-to-face dialogue and interactions, people would be doing more of that. But it wasn't satisfying. Why? Because it was superficial. I mean, it's good to, you talk about the weather, the ball game. There's nothing wrong with that. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour. By the time right now, people want to run. They just can't take it anymore. But they don't know how to get out of it. People, once those conversations get going, superficial conversations, they can't escape. So people, we found, want to have 50% of the time deep conversations. And by the way, talking about deep, it doesn't mean it's always serious. You can laugh from deep within. You can be humorous. So being deep and genuine doesn't mean always being super serious. It could be joking around. It's a deep, but it's not a superficial laugh. It's not, it's coming from way there. It's a deeper laugh because we're talking about a genuine response. Now, people reported that 56% of people reported that less than 30% of their daily conversations were deep. Some of these findings were a little surprising. This is a little surprising. 84% of the people prefer to do business with deeper people. When you're doing business, might as well get to know each other, talk. They want 84%. And 77% of people believe that if we had deeper conversations, it would create more unity because we'd see, well, we're not that different from each other. You get anxious, you get depressed, I get that way, you have some issues with your boss, I have issues. You have to see we're not that different. So let me just say that in the 1,801 subjects, 1,010 were male and 801 were female. Now here's another surprising one. 75% of the people, many of whom probably wouldn't be considered deep people, feel they have more in common with other deep people than they do with superficial people. They feel more in common with them. So that feeling of having in common, again, is a sign of that loneliness will be reduced. Now, certainly in an authentic community, people will be genuine and in some way would be there for each other. If somebody's really needing some help, they're feeling depressed, lonely, again, going through a stressful situation, they like to be able to talk to people in this community, be there for each other. So it's in word and in action, a genuine, authentic community. This is what people are craving. And most people just don't have that. Again, it could be their religious community. It could be their political community. It could be their professional community, just not having it. Genuine, authentic community. Some of the factors that will add to the loneliness is, when a person's been abused or betrayed, it's hard to trust. So the failure to trust adds to loneliness. You feel, I can't trust this person, I can't trust him, I'm not going to open up to him, I'm not going to open up to him, he'll use this against me. So that betrayal that goes on will destroy connection. And people are afraid to trust, afraid of being hurt, disappointed, and that leads to greater loneliness. What we're talking about is bringing into authentic, genuine communities the way of honor. Without honor, there'll always be tremendous loneliness. But when you know somebody's honorable, not going to hurt you with it, they're not necessarily going to divulge your secrets or make fun of you or look down on you and somehow use it against you. To the extent that you believe people are honorable, you're going to feel that connection. If they're not, and if you know it's not an honorable group, it's going to make you very lonely. So we're talking about the way of honor, a community that aspires to be honorable but is genuine and authentic. So I've developed a whole system of becoming more honorable. I have the 4 commandments of honor, which need to be recited 3 times a day. The 4 commandments of honor are, I wish you well. You can see where that would help create a connection with somebody who's wishing you well. That creates a connection. He's not wishing you harm. He's not going to feel diminished by your achievement, not looking to tear you down. He wishes you well. She wishes you well. I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality and my problems. If you know the other person is willing to step up and take responsibility, not just blame you for what goes wrong, because that's when people feel blamed. They just pull back. I didn't do that. No, you're wrong. I didn't do that. No. You get defensive. But you know, they're going to say, you know what, I co-created this and I apologize for my part. Wow. Then you start going, all right, if we run into a bad spot together, it's not going to be all on me. That person's going to meet me halfway and take responsibility and apologize for their contribution. Whoa, now you're talking about some trust building up. I'm grateful for the power I gained from hardship. There's always going to be hardship. And so that's going to then, you're going through those betrayals and that hurt, and the losses that take place in life. And you say, oh, this is making me stronger. I'm grateful for that strength. Then one of two commandments, depends if someone believes in God or not. If they believe in God as I do, it's God, your wish is my only wish. Or if a person doesn't believe in God or doesn't want to address God, it's I seek always to serve my highest values. So if you're with people who are dedicating their life to putting their highest values, they want to serve that, or they always want to serve the wish of God only. God, your wish is my only wish. And you say, well, these people have values, lofty values. They're genuine, they're authentic. They're not pretending to be better than they are, because that's part of the authenticity. To aspire to higher values, to aspire to serving God for those who believe in God, but not pretending to be more than we are. That's key, because some people who aspire to these things, or believers, want to say, I'm this, I'm more than what I really am. So we're talking about authentic, genuine community. Now, people feel misunderstood. Many people feel that nobody truly understands them, or very few, maybe one or two people that truly understand the people. So you feel nobody really truly understands you. In fact, most people feel they're not really appreciated. They can work day and night in a construction, or driving a truck, or in an office, or in the home, taking care of the kids. It's a very tough job, taking care of children, raising them, very hard. Cleaning the house, cooking, that's very tough. Be doing that all day long. And they feel unappreciated. People feel they're not appreciated by anybody. They're not appreciated by the husband, their wife, their partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, kids. People feel appreciated. So when walking the path of honor, we give the thing we want. No one's going to ever appreciate us enough, so we give the appreciation to others. Now, the goal is to internalize the 4 commandments of honor. To do that, you need to, if you don't remind yourself about them 3 times a day, you'll forget them. Before you know it, you're not living that. You can't just hear me say this and then, oh, okay, I agree, and then you're all right. No. As soon as you stop repeating them, you will forget them, and you'll slide back to non-honorable ways. Guaranteed. I know, I've been there. So, it's best to take a lifetime commitment to repeating it 3 times a day for the rest of your life and become what I call a disciple of honor. So when I give people a pledge to become disciples of honor, I say, you want to take the pledge now? I say, firstly, there's no pressure for me whatsoever about taking this pledge. None. But if you want to take the pledge now, I can give it to you now. If you want to think about it, that's fine. So when I'm giving it, or you want to administer it, so that same attitude, no pressure. So those who want to take it, I then have them raise their right hands, and I say, as a disciple of honor, I pledge myself all the days of my life to the 4 commandments of honor. And I'll teach them to those I love. I'll repeat them every morning, afternoon, and evening, and I'll listen to myself recite them. Now, it doesn't matter how lonely somebody is. When they take that pledge, they feel good, they feel more hopeful. 95% feel more good and more hopeful, and 92% feel more meaning in life. So right away, whatever cloud's hanging on that person, loneliness, depression, anxiety, and so forth, lifts. Just taking the pledge itself, I published a paper with over 1,000 subjects in it, published in the National Psychologist, reporting those results. Amazing. People commit their lives. People don't take a lifetime commitment to hardly anything, maybe in a marriage, and then being a disciple of honor. So you take the pledge, now we're committed. Then we need what I call the bridge to increase the probability we're going to apply this in any situation. It's a bridge between the realm of honor and reality. And the bridge is, what's the most honorable thing to think, say, and do? What's the most honorable thing to think, say, and do? And that's used right after the commandments. So for me, it would be, God, your wish is my only wish. I wish you well. I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality and my problems. I'm grateful for the power I gained from hardship. What's the most honorable thing to think, say, and do? So, and any situation we're in, we then apply that. So if you're in a community where you know people are committed to following this way of honor, and any interaction with you, they're asking themselves, what's the most honorable thing to think, say, and do? If they're committed to that, that's going to foster a trust. It's not a perfect thing because somebody may not be totally sincere when they're doing it, but it's going to tremendously aid having a genuine, authentic community of trust and connection. It's tremendously elevate that, tremendously. Now, so the 4 commandments of honor, the pledge, the bridge. And you're doing it 3 times a day. The repetition is preparation for application. The repetition is preparation for application. You're doing it 3 times a day because you never know when something's going to hit you. Something's going to come out of left field. You know, all of a sudden you're off guard. You might start reacting in a way you don't want to be reacting. And of course, if we slip in the way of honor, we immediately, as soon as we see that, we repent. And if it's another person involved, say, I apologize, please forgive me. Or even more, I apologize, I was wrong, please forgive me. We're stepping up. So in this path of apologizing, sincere apologies it adds again to the trust and the sense of community, because you can trust this person. If he hurts my feelings or I feel humiliated by him, he's going to apologize. He's going to try to do something about that and not continue doing that to me. So the development of authentic community and being there for each other. So it's authentic both in word and thought and action. So these are the causes, the ramifications, and the remedies for dealing with loneliness. And loneliness has been here from the beginning of time. And again, it's not defined by being around people, because many people are very lonely around other people. Well, it's my pleasure to present to you loneliness, causes, ramifications, and remedies. I'm going to open it up to any questions or comments.
No, Doctor, what you had mentioned earlier about the deeper conversations, and in my opinion, a deeper conversation is not necessarily the text of the conversation, but the participants. And if you're compassionate about it, and you care about what you say, it could just be a casual conversation with your neighbor or your spouse or whatever. But if you're both in it,
if you're both in it and it's really meaningful to you, and you're not just doing it to fill the silence, and there's a genuine connection going on with it, that's meaningful.
Just to converse with somebody doesn't necessarily mean anything. That's just something to bide the time.
Yeah, that creates a loneliness. That creates a loneliness. Yeah, that'll create a loneliness. Right. We find that people want deeper conversation 50% of the time. They want to be able to go to subjects that are now socially, whatever the subject is. And many subjects are taboo. They want to be able to go to whatever subject they feel in their hearts. And they want to have the freedom to go from superficial to deep, not be locked into that superficial. They found that's like I call that the new social contract. At least 50% of the time deep, fluid, we can go deep, shallow. And it's just a very important part of the new social contract, of what people want. Right now it's maybe 5% of the time deep. They want to have it 50% of the time deep. And there's never been a society in the history of humankind that's been 50% of the time deep. Never has been. Because it's an educational process of how to do that, and people have to desire that. Tracy, what comments or questions do you have?
2, and you hit the nail on the head when you said this. 1, with superficial conversations, I think much of it has to do with trust, whether they can trust the other person with their vulnerability, Or two, with the superficial conversations, they are just not ready to be that emotional.
When people with say superficial, the emotion is just not there at all, and there's a lack of passion. In a society where only 95% of the time is superficial, there's a lack of passion. It leads to a passionless society, and people can't really feel each other. But when that trust is there and they're really talking deeply and meaningfully, there's more of a passion. People are really in it. You can hear it in their voice. There's more life in the voice. Absolutely. Well, it's been my pleasure to present to you Loneliness, Causes, Ramifications, and Remedies. It's been a privilege to be in your presence, to have this opportunity to present to you this vital perspective and understanding. I'm thankful. Thank you. For a genuine and authentic community to be established, certain requisites must be achieved if loneliness is going to be substantially reduced. 1. There must be respectfully real communication, which builds bridges instead of walls. 2. The community must be truly united, where love can be expressed in an honorable fashion and estrangements can be effectively healed. Such a community will be a magnet, attracting new members and keeping the old members. 3. The community must aspire to noble and honorable goals.
The sea of destiny is in your deepest struggle. God's will and mine be one, and I wish you well. You are co-creator, respectfully real. There's a way in the valley that turns weakness to steel. We're known through all eternity. From strife we gain power, clothed in grace and love, disciples of honor. All the days of our lives refuse the way of shame. We wish nobody harm, have no one to blame. Your high calling will be done, and pure eyes now glow. In darkness crave the good, like waters from the desert flow. I pledge my love all the days of my life. I pledge my soul to all that is good. I pledge my heart to my brothers and sisters, who I join in the light, leave a legacy of honor. We're known through all eternity. From strife we gain power, clothed in grace and love, disciples of honor. All the days of our lives refuse the way of shame. We wish nobody harm, have no one to blame. Your high calling will be done, and pure eyes now glow. In darkness crave the good, like waters from the desert flow.